Hello everyone, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. This is a series of a chapter or a topic in the ancient history called as prehistoric period. So what is this prehistoric period? So in this entire series of 3 videos, we will be looking at the period called as Paleolithic, Mesolithic and the Neolithic. So this is the first video of the 3 video series. So in this video, we will be looking at what is the meaning of this prehistoric period and what is the Paleolithic period. From the prelims examination point of view, for the 2023 prelims examination, what is something that we will have to focus from this particular chapter? So let's begin. As you all know, that the ancient history starts from the evolution of the humans, both biological and the cultural. So this cultural evolution before the Indus Valley civilization, that is the Bronze Age, is considered as a prehistoric period. So this period dates before the actual art of writing begins in the human evolution. So in this prehistoric period, we will have something called as Paleolithic period, Mesolithic period and the Neolithic period. So what is this Paleolithic period? The first topic under the prehistoric period that we'll be looking at is called as Paleolithic period. See, this is a extreme and a very huge time period that lasts from around 2.5 million years, around 2.5 to 3 million years to 10,000 years before. So it's a very huge time period of 2.5 million years to 10,000 years. So this entire phase of the human evolution and also the ancestors of the human, the present day humans, is considered as the Paleolithic period. As we all know, that this particular Paleolithic period apparently is classified into 3 sub classifications, that is Upper Paleolithic, Middle Paleolithic and the Lower Paleolithic. See, from the UPSC prelims point of view, we don't have to go in detail and look at the differences between the upper, middle and the lower Paleolithic period. UPSC is not considered, or UPSC will not ask questions on the subcategories, but as a Paleolithic period overall, UPSC has asked few questions and UPSC will ask few questions in the near future also. So in order to give you a better understanding here, we will be discussing about the stages, that is lower, middle and the upper. So you will have a very clear idea about what is the lower Paleolithic period, what is the time period and what are the characteristic features, what is this upper Paleolithic period and what are the features and what are the important sites of the Paleolithic period that you will have to remember from the exam point of view. This lower Paleolithic period stretches from 2.5 million years to 3 lakh years ago, which means it is 2.5 million to around 0.3 million years ago. Okay, we can consider 3 lakh years to be around 0.3 million. Okay, so 2.5 million years to 0.3 million years. So this is the time period, a very huge time period of something called as lower Paleolithic period. See, this is a time period where the human ancestors evolved. When we look at the human evolution, we will be looking at different phases of the human evolution. For example, we will have something called as Australopithecus, we'll have Paranthropus, then we will have Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Neanderthal, Cro-Magnon, Grimaldi, Chanceldae, Homo sapien. So these are the phases of the human evolution. Okay, from the ancient history point of view, remember, you don't have to remember all these phases of the evolution. It's not required from the ancient history GS point of view. If you are from an anthropology optional or a sociology optional or any different optional to which these subjects revolve around, then you will have an idea about this. So just know that the lower Paleolithic period or an entire Paleolithic period as such did not just restrict itself to the Homo sapien, it also had the cultural characteristics of the human ancestors. So what are the general characteristic features of the lower Paleolithic period? This will be the discussion. Look at here. Simple stone tools. As of now, we have lot many developments in the tool technology. Back then, the lower Paleolithic man just used crude stone tools, and these tools are characteristically called as chopper chopping tools. Okay, these are called as chopper chopping tools. Remember this from the exam point of view, because UPSC can form a question. The chopper chopping tools are the characteristic features of which of the following phases? This can be a very straightforward prelim specific question, and in the options you will have Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic and the Bronze Age. And the option and the correct answer will be the Paleolithic period. The chopper chopping tools are the characteristic features of the Paleolithic or the lower Paleolithic man. And the stone that he used was called as quartzite stone, because of which lower Paleolithic man was also called as quartzite man. Okay, two important things to be remembered from the tools perspective. One is it's a quartzite stone that was used, and the second one, the chopper chopping are the characteristic features of the stone tools. Second one, emergence of the human ancestors. We have talked about this. This is not just the period which restricted itself to the Homo sapien, it also had the human ancestors, like for example Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and Neanderthal. Okay, so we have talked about their tools, we have talked about the evolution. Where did these people live? Okay, what was their habitation and what were they doing? So they were into hunter-gatherer societies. What do you mean by hunter and gathering? See, hunting you already know, okay, killing in order to have food. Gathering is something that is important, because gathering requires you to travel for a very long time in order to gather food. Gather is nothing but to get food, okay, to collect food. Hunters and collectors, these people were collecting food, whatever the fruits, the nuts, and also the roots that these people were eating, they used to collect it, gathering and hunting. So because they were hunters and gatherers, their society is called as nomadic or a semi-nomadic society, because they couldn't afford to live at a particular place for a very long time and carry out hunting and gathering. It was impossible for them. So what did they do? They started moving from one place to another place. This is called as the nomadic or a semi-nomadic community. You can see here, they moved around small groups, following the food sources and adapting to the environment. So this is the third and important characteristic feature of the lower Paleolithic period. You can see here, nomadic lifestyle. They had a very nomadic and a semi-nomadic lifestyle. Environmental adaptation, as they started traveling from one place to another place, environmental adaptation was very much essential for them to survive. So this resulted in both biological and the cultural evolution and led to the emergence of the Homo sapien. Limited cultural expression. Okay, these were the people. See, when we talk about cultural traits, we talk about language, we talk about religion, we talk about economic organization, we talk about the society and the societal organization and the interrelationships that the people share. Okay, but here lower Paleolithic man, he was a person who did not live in a large group. Okay, for example, 1,000, 2,000 people lived. No, it was not that case. So as the society is not huge, there is no social evidence for us to prove the cultural evolution. Okay, he had a very rudimentary language. Okay, his religion is not known to us, very primitive religion that he followed. So because of the cultural traits which are very difficult to analyze, the cultural expression was very much limited. So this is the characteristic features of a lower Paleolithic man. So after this period of the lower Paleolithic, from 2.5 million years to 3 lakh years, so we have something called as upper Paleolithic period, which stretches from 50,000 years to 10,000 or 12,000 years ago. See, there is a phase called as middle Paleolithic also in between the upper and the lower. But from the examination point of view, middle Paleolithic is not so significant because nothing great happened. So lower Paleolithic is important. The upper Paleolithic is also important. So 50,000 years to around 12,000 to 10,000 years ago. So this is the upper Paleolithic period. As we have seen the characteristic features, here if we study the characteristic features of the upper Paleolithic also, then you will be in a very better position to differentiate between the lower and the upper Paleolithic. First one, advanced tools. See, there we talked about quartzite and also we talked about chopping tools. But here, as the human evolved, even the tool technology evolved and he started using cleavers and hand axes. Okay, hand axe was used along with the cleavers. Emergence of new technologies, in addition to the tools, the stone, crude tools that a lower Paleolithic man was using, the upper Paleolithic man started using a different kinds of tool technology, that is hand axes and the cleavers, and the new technologies also developed, for example, wheel. Okay, the emergence of wheel. Cultural expression, compared to the lower Paleolithic man, the cultural expressions of the upper Paleolithic man was very, very great. Development of agriculture, it is said that the last part of the upper Paleolithic period, so which means around 12,000 to 10,000 years ago, that is when the first evidence of agriculture started for us. So when we talk about the out of Africa theory in the human evolution, we say that the human evolution actually started when a very primitive man started growing a very primitive agricultural crop, that was barley, which means barley was the first crop that was cultivated by the human ancestors. So development of agriculture during the later part of the upper Paleolithic period is something that you have to remember. So UPSC can make a statement like the agriculture developed in the Neolithic period, because of which the Neolithic period is called as Neolithic Revolution. Okay, when we talk about the Neolithic period in the next part of the video, so probably you will be able to appreciate this particular statement, that the upper Paleolithic period is when we have the development of agriculture, emergence of the human societies, and the development of trade, political systems. See, as and when the community expanded, the social relationships developed, and that led to the emergence of societies as such. Environmental adaptation, similar to the lower Paleolithic period, the upper Paleolithic man also had a very great challenge to adapt to the changing environment. Simple tools, advanced tools. Now we are looking at the differences between the upper and the lower. Probably you would have studied lower and the upper Paleolithic and you have understood it properly. So we are just summarizing what all we have studied in this particular video. Early human ancestors, this was Homo sapien, hunter-gatherer societies, agriculture developed. We have seen the later part of the upper Paleolithic period. We have the emergence of agriculture. Nomadic lifestyle, when it's an agriculture, you can't afford to move on. So because of that, the sedentary lifestyle started. Environmental adaptation, limited cultural expression, but here the cultural expression in the form of art, decorative objects, everything started. One important example of a art and a decorative subject of the cultural expression is the paintings that we have at Bhimbetka. So Bhimbetka and the paintings that we have at Bhimbetka, I'll be detailedly discussing it in the next part of the video, that is Mesolithic period. So this is the map of sites that we have of the Paleolithic period in India, starting from a place called Kurnool Caves in Andhra Pradesh. We have a place called Hansgi, and we have Potwar Plateau. We have Son Valley. Okay, Son is an important river in Jammu Kashmir. We have Son Valley and the Potwar Plateau. Okay, so these are some of the very, very important Paleolithic sites that are there in India. And Bhimbetka is also a very important Paleolithic site, which is specifically the upper Paleolithic site, where we have the images of the geometrical shaped paintings on the walls of Bhimbetka. So for more such content on the Mesolithic period and also the Neolithic period, you can watch the second and the third part of the video, which will be uploading in couple of days. For more such enriching content, consider subscribing to the Legacy IAS Academy. Have a nice day. Thank you.